Welcome back. We're tackling high interest rates, high inflation, and joining me again is Saijal Patel, founder and CEO of Sage Wealth, and obviously a fellow co-host here on the News Forum, where she hosts Strictly Money. Saijal, we know that interest rates are rising, but they were critically low for a long period of time. You were saying that you were sounding the alarm as to why that was a dangerous, perhaps, situation. Could you please expand on that?
Sure. Yeah. Interest rates have been low for a very long time, Tanya. I mean, I would say, since the great financial crisis. And I was arguing at the time that there was no reason for interest rates to be that low when the economy was humming along, right? Everything was going very fine. And what it had done, the unintended or intended consequences, if you will, is that we had housing bubbles and we had a stock market bubbles. So if you look at valuations, they shot up and they didn't make sense. When interest rates were that low, people got addicted to debt and
Yes.
indebted, and on every level, Tanya, it's households, corporations, government. And at some point, that we end up paying the price for it because people have to cut back. And so you're seeing that consequence, the consequences of that. But on top of that, you're seeing the consequences of high inflation, which has
Right.
really eroded people's cash flow.
So you brought up a great point. So you're right. Money was cheap. You could borrow very cheaply, and
Yeah.
many persons, especially in the time of the very beginning of the first lockdown with COVID, they realized, wow, to have a home office, my space is a little small. Money's cheap. I'm going to upsize my home. I'm going to get into a variable mortgage. I mean, how high could it really go? And they bought, maybe further out of the city, bigger, more of a palatial residence. And now we're seeing interest rates rising, and all of a sudden, maybe their mortgages are going up by 50% a month. Their mortgage payments. It
Mhm.
created, like you said, this perfect storm. So with these mortgages with variable rates, I mean, what does this mean for Canadians who might be stuck in that situation? Will people start losing their homes?
I don't think so. I'm not really that concerned, at least not yet. I'm not seeing the signs. I think we have to remember and just sort of look, step back and take some perspective on this. Now, 40 to 50% of homes, Tanya, are mortgage free.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
which is a good thing. Yeah. I would say it's something like 25 to 30% are in variable rates. So no doubt that they're taking a hit right now. For others who are in fixed mortgages, if it happens to come due next year, they're obviously going to see a sticker shock as well. So but overall, because housing prices are so much higher, obviously their mortgages are probably a lot higher too. And then on top of that, you have inflation that's cutting into a household's cash flow. I'm more worried about the psychology of people in homes right now because there's just a lot of media and fear being played out there, like, oh, the value of your home has gone down. Well, that's going to happen when interest rates go up, and I want to remind viewers that that is wealth being eroded on paper.
Hmm.
Right. You're not locking in losses or lower prices until you sell your home. So I wouldn't worry so much about that. The people that I sometimes do worry about are those who are using their home somewhat as an ATM, right?
Right.
They're pulling money out using HELOCs, home equity line of credits, which are going to be attached to variable rates. So there is some concern there. I don't think houses prices are going to drop that much, or we're not seeing it yet. Partly because I think the employment picture is strong. If people started losing their jobs, then that would be a different situation. And I guess time will tell, but I don't see the alarm bells yet.
Right, and we see that it's I guess you could say, a buyer's market in terms of employees looking to find a job. There's a lot of demand for workers. Um, let's talk about business. You mentioned about how interest rates can impact business. Many still haven't recovered from the pandemic after shutting down. How are businesses coping with the rise in inflation and the rising in interest rates? We only have about 40 seconds before commercial.
Sure. Well, they're not doing too well. I actually had Equifax Canada, they put out a report on how small businesses are doing. and they're really struggling with cash flow. Many of the businesses have said that they're being forced to raise prices when they don't want to because supply. They're forced to raise wages, and this just eats up into their cash flow. Debt has gone up something like 15% for the average business. I think the average outstanding amount is about $37,000. So if they are tied to sort of variable rates, then obviously they're going to be impacted as well.